Hello, I believe that we are live. My name is Jeff Rolka. Welcome to your live event. This is a time that I set aside on a fairly regular basis, an increasingly regular basis. I started these live events years ago. I used to do them every week. I did them every week for 100 episodes. Hello, Jimmy. And then I needed to take a break to do some other things. And then I would kind of do one intermittently. Now I am back, for the most part, every other week. Today is a little different because I have some travel to do tomorrow, so I had to do it today, which is a bit of an odd time. Normally, I think it's normally 10 a.m. on Thursdays every other week. But here we are on a Wednesday in North America. If you're, I guess, above the, whatever the time zone thing is, I get all confused when you go over the international date line. Hello, eBrothers Animation. I'm glad that those lessons are helping you. That's what they're there for. Enjoy, keep singing, all that kind of stuff. Daily practice is where it's at. This is all about your questions and things like that. So if you have questions, that is what the chat is for. Folks are already using the chat, which is, of course, you know what it's there for. So please avail yourself of the chat, and let's get started. Manuel says, Jeff, today I have no questions. I just want to tell you that your technique, your love for music, and your professionalism, in my opinion, make you the best singing teacher ever. Well, thank you very much. I could hardly ask for more in terms of accolades. So thank you so very, very much. Truly appreciate it. Truly appreciate it. I can't stay on, well, says William Joyner, but thank you for everything. Well, hey, safe travels to you and yours, wherever you happen to be traveling today, or taking you away from your computer or tablet device, whatever it may be. But thank you very much for popping in. Appreciate it. Have a lovely day. Mark Freeman, hello from San Diego. Hello from Northern California, Mark. How are you doing today? I hope all is well. Nice for you to join us. I'm going to try and stay hydrated. I'm going to take my own advice, which I never do. I will also try to mute. Thank you, Jimmy Earl. Look at the cute animation now for the tip jar there. I find it quite intriguing. Thank you very much. Got a 4-hour gig this Saturday. How should I warm up for this? Thank you for everything. I make no promises. I will try. See, I totally failed. I was going to say I'm going to try to mute for the drinking and unmute when I'm done, but you got the swallow there. I apologize for that, but I'll try to be better with the old mute button. You know, honestly, for a 4-hour gig, what I would probably do is suggest that, I mean, that's such a long amount of time. Front load that first set with things that are really easy to sing so that you can do part of your warm-up during the set, so that way you're not burned out by the end of 4 hours. Now, presumably you've got like some set breaks in there. It's not like you're going to get on stage for 4 hours and just go until you drop. Usually there's going to be, you know, a 10-minute break here, 5-minute break, 15-minute break, stuff like that. So front load that first set if you can, and maybe each subsequent set with songs that are really, really easy that could kind of serve as warm-up vehicles for you. I would still recommend doing a short little warm-up before you take the stage, you know, 20 minutes, just to kind of get your mind and your body and your voice focused in on ready on the task of singing, as opposed to just being your person throughout the day. That's what I would suggest you do. That used to work really well for me when I was in, like, I used to do a lot of cover band stuff, and we would have these mammoth gigs. And, you know, you want to be very, very conscientious about that warm-up, because a little bit is really, really good to get you in the mind. How you plan your set lists, also very important. Don't burn out in the warm-up, in other words. Dave Smith, while I was working as a professional singer, your lessons gave me some well-structured short warm-ups between gigs. Thank you very much from Australia. Brilliant. That's exactly what they're there for. I'm glad that they served you well. Thank you for using them. That's fantastic. Having trouble, so this is Dils Bodhi. I apologize if I did not do a very good job on that. Having trouble moving into secondo passaggio. Can hit C4 and F5 augmented G5, but E4 is tough. Well, that's kind of all over the place. I mean, C4 is, you know, like here, of course, and the secondo passaggio is here. So that's where the issue is going to be, is in making this transition across these notes. I would suggest you start your practice from the top down on those exercises. So, you know, like, first of all, explore the technique of how you're doing the registration event. You. It's really obvious that I'm using cricothyroid dominant singing voice on the top there and my chest voice below. But the point is to be able to go back and forth between the two consciously with intent. And then you can work on smoothing that out so that you get a better overall response between the registers of your voice. Oh, I've already got a scroll. So cool. Dil Spody says, I love you, Jeff. Big love right back at you. Thank you so much. Marcello, thanks so much for everything. I do your exercise almost every day. It helps me a lot. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're very, very welcome. It's a pleasure. That's what they're there for. And may they serve you well into the future. Movie World. Hey, Jeff, I am forever grateful for how much you've done for me. I've become such a better singer after doing your workouts every day. Brilliant. That's what they're there for. You know, it's worth mentioning, their vocalization practices, they are meant to help you vowel align, like get good vowel alignment so that your vowels work together, and that way it's going to give you a better overall performance of your voice. So it should just help you not only be able to do the things that you want to do with your voice, but make it even better and better. So thank you for watching. Thank you for your kind words. May the videos serve you very, very well into the indefinite future. Despite yes, doing Jeff's exercise every day matters. Totally, neuroscience rocks. Yeah, you know, I would mention This Is Your Brain on Music for those of you interested in going a little bit, I don't want to say necessarily deeper. It's more of like adjacent to the practice of singing, or in addition to, as opposed to deeper into the practice. But yeah, This Is Your Brain on Music, especially for those that sing with lyrics. Like if you sing songs with words and lyrics, then diving into that a little bit more will tell you a bit more about maybe how to practice, how to structure your work on songs so that it's a little bit easier, a little bit faster. For example, on a couple of videos at least, I've mentioned a practice where you take the lyrics, like take the lyrics of your song and get rid of the consonants. So if you had a phrase like, tell me what you see, learning to sing the phrase like that without the consonants and listening carefully to the vowels, and if they match, that will help so much, and it helps even more as you move into the upper range of your voice. And that has to do with how our brains process language. So when you add those consonants back in and it becomes a word, it requires us to integrate both hemispheres of the brain. Without those consonants, the brain interprets it more as sort of vowel syllables, nonsense syllables. And it lets us focus a little bit more and evaluate that alignment and then try to integrate it. And that's something that, I don't know if they mentioned it in This Is Your Brain on Music, but it was something that I kind of gleaned from it in reading it. Movie World, me and my band have our first festival gig here in Denmark, and you have really contributed to that. Brilliant. Well, congratulations. Have a wonderful show. I mean, pop it in the chat if you like. Like, you know, I don't know that there's a ton of people in Denmark that are here in the chat, but you never know. Just tell us like what stage and what day and what time you're playing. And if anybody's in Denmark, go check it out at that festival. Now, hi, oh, it scrolled quickly. Hi, Jeff. The vowel round robin tenor alto one has been my favorite exercise. Thank you very much. Wonderful. Yeah, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I am a big fan. I mean, when it comes to getting vowel alignment, the idea behind the round robin is that any phrase could potentially start with any word, which means it could have any vowel. And if you only ever start your vocalizations with E, then you can see the problem there. You could very easily be caught out. So E, A, O, and then moving on to subsequent vowels after that is a practice that I started doing for myself. I don't know how long ago. It's immaterial. It was a long time ago. I started doing that ages ago, and then started experimenting. It sounds like it's like this really nefarious thing when you say experimenting, but trying it with my clients at the time, and noticing how it benefited the song work that we were doing then. And then the exercises themselves are time honored. Like those patterns, those scale patterns get used by everybody. But it's the order and organization of the vowels that's really different. So I'm muting for a second here. And I remembered. Okay, so that's cool. Mark, I have to hold a note for something like 32 measures. Obviously, your sustain exercises would help, but any suggestions for how to approach performance? Yeah, this came up someplace else. I think someone asked a question about this on my website, which has shameless plug. If you want to be able to ask questions all the time of me and even post like video examples of your practices or audio, the RVC, Rolka's Vocal Community on my website, and I think that question came up. There's a lot of different ways to approach it. It kind of depends on where it is in your range, and it depends on, like context here is key. If there are other vocalists singing that same note with you, or if it's only you. One of the things that you can do is try to approach it like a crescendo, whether you crescendo or not. And what's happening there is that as you continue to sustain that engagement, that's really where the sustain comes from, is the engaged effort through the core body muscles. That will keep the note having substance, to be substantial still. And the problem is when we start to lose that engagement here, because we don't have good expansion, or we're just kind of locked into the pitch and we're not continuously engaging, that we start to, like the vocal folds can start to change shape unintentionally. They can start to tense up, and that usually means that we don't get as efficient usage of air, and we start to seep air a little bit, and now all of a sudden we get a little bit anxious, and it becomes this destructive cycle. So yeah, approach it like you're going to crescendo throughout the entirety of the sustained pitch. Obviously, plan your breathing accordingly. It might not be enough to get one good breath right before the note. You might have to look at the 8 bars that precede it. Make sure that you never get too low on air. Like, try to sneak little catch breaths in there so that you stay nice and topped up. This also helps you retain engagement through here, which will make your tonal onset on the note more efficient. And these little bits of greater efficiency can really help make us be able to sustain these pitches. Also, it depends on the tempo. 32 bars at one tempo is one thing, 32 bars at another is an entirely different matter. If it's 60 beats per minute and you have 4 bars, well, now you're talking about 240 seconds. What is that? 4 minutes, right? So I don't know anyone who can sustain a pitch for 4 minutes, right? And Kenny G and circular breathing doesn't work for us. It doesn't work like that. You have to be able to hold air in your cheeks and then, blow it into the horn while you quickly suck air through your nose to circular breathe. So we can't circular breathe. But 32 measures at, I don't know, and if they're like 1/4, so it's like 1 beat per bar, and it's a bar at 120 beats per minute, well, now it's, what is that, like 32 bars, 1 beat per bar at 120, so it's 30 seconds long. That's probably pretty doable. Not, oh, hey, excuse me, I think it's 15 seconds long. That's much more manageable. So a lot of context would help there, but love it. Thank you, Jeff. It's Jordan. Jordan, thank you for that. Donna, I'm in my late 50s, starting to experience my voice cracking in the middle of singing, even after being very warmed up. Let me see if I can find the rest of, maybe that is the whole question there. Let's do that, and I'll scroll back. Okay, I don't see anything more from Donna. Yeah, good question, Donna. I wonder if you're kind of, well, it depends on where it's cracking too. In the middle of my singing. Now, does that mean the middle of your range? Do you specifically mean like the middle voice registration event? Or do you mean like in the middle of your singing session? Like you're kind of getting fatigued or something like that? Context here was maybe if you wouldn't mind elaborating a little bit on that, that might help me help you. Jimmy, thanks for answering, Jeff. Also, how do you evolve your practice? Sometimes I get really bored. Fair question. You know, it changes a lot over time. I try to find music that inspires me, that makes me want to dive in. But if I can't find that, then there's always, you know, like the gentle warm-ups on my channel are largely modeled, you know, after what I've done with clients when they've been sick or when they are sick and they can still vocalize. But it's also, there are also things that I sing when I'm not feeling inspired, when I'm not feeling like I really want to do this today, because I do too sometimes. I'm not different in that capacity. I mean, I'm sure that there are some people who are always like ready to charge in day after day. I'm not really one of those people. I'm pretty charged up most days, but I do have my down days. And when I do, I'm willing to accept that that might be a day where maintenance is what I am going to do, and I'll do effectively the contents of one of those gentle warm-ups. Half the time, that leads me on to something else that I then get started with, and I forget about how I wasn't feeling terribly inspired. And then some days, that's all I do, and that is fine. That's a day that I'm going to rest, or I will do extra ear training, or I will, you know, answer more questions on YouTube or in the RVC or something to that effect. It's a different day. So maybe not exactly what you were looking for, but I allow myself to be flexible. Some days that means I can charge right into the vocalizations and that works well. Some days I might start with a song, or I might start with a variety of songs looking for something that sort of piques my curiosity. Cole, are there any good tongue twisters to practice singing? Yes, but they're not, I mean, tongue twisters are good for practicing the consonants of your singing so that you don't, you develop agility and brevity, so you can be fast with your consonants. But they aren't necessarily going to help your vowel alignment. They may help you connect vowels seamlessly within a song. That can have it, but it's a separate thing from vowel alignment. I guess I feel like I say that because that gets requested with a reasonable amount of frequency, but I think that that is important. However, it might be, you know, 2% of the practice that we do as vocalists, unless you're really struggling with it, in which case then, spending more time on it and focusing on it would be advisable. But for the most part, I would suggest that if you're wanting to improve your singing, vowel alignment, registration event practice, apogeo breath management, those are going to be the big ticket items. It reminds me of backpacking. I like to go backpacking. I typically go very lightweight, bordering on ultralight. And when you make that transition, you go from I'm a backpacker and my backpack weighs 40 pounds to I am a lightweight backpacker and my backpack base weight is 20 pounds. The vast majority of that weight differential you will find in what they call the big three. Your backpack, your sleeping bag, and your sleeping shelter. So like your tent or tarp or whatever that will be. And I would couch this the same way. Look at your apogeo breath management, look at your vowel alignment, look at your registration event practice. Use the tongue twister stuff to supplement it. And you can do a Google search for any tongue twisters that you like. I would suggest that you look for those that are challenging you in the songs that you're singing. So if you have a song that has a lot of T's or something to that effect in it, and find a tongue twister that helps you do T's. Test out T's. Find a tongue twister that helps you test out T's. There you go. There's one right there. Michael, how do I learn to thin out my voice as I get higher? And what is it that my voice teacher says to put depth as I get high? Well, I'm afraid you'd have to ask your voice teacher because adding depth could mean a variety of different things. Genre matters to a certain extent here as well. So depth in the classical realm would be different from depth in the popular genres, just by way of comparison. I'm going to, again, I am muting. And there we go. Now, thinning usually, as you get higher. Again, I would ask your singing instructor. It's possible that they and I may teach this very differently. But when we talk about thinning, what we are generally referring to is that the vocal folds are getting elongated, and so they are in fact thinning. The tissue mass is getting thinned out by their elongation. So another way to look at this is, how do I elongate the vocal folds? And one of the ways that you can do that is with an exercise that I mentioned earlier in this practice. And it doesn't sound, this is not a finished product. So you're going to hear a different sound from me. You hear that noise? You. And then it changes color as I exit the upper range of my voice. That hollow sound is the beginning of learning to thin one's vocal folds. It is about accessing that register, if you will. And what you're really accessing is the elongation of the vocal folds. So we have to learn to do that consciously. I can assure you, I did not learn this by trying to think about thinning my vocal folds, nor about rocking my hyoid cartilage forward. I didn't think about those things. What I thought about was mimicking the sound. You. And what we learn by doing that is going from that elongated posture to the contracted chest voice posture. And as we get better at it, we can do smaller and smaller intervals and until you're doing a scale. And once you're doing a scale, then you can go smoothly back and forth. And as you do that, you get better and better at balancing the color of it. That transition's still there, but I'm just making sure that the vowels match across it. And that's it. That is how we, quote unquote, thin the vocal folds on an ascending scale. AC Light, hey Jeff, nice to see another coffee hour, recently extended to now being able to sing F-sharp 4s semi-comfortably with my band. Thanks for all the help, you're very welcome. That's wonderful, as it should be, congratulations, keep up the great work. Oh, so Giants, wow, that's amazing, brilliant. Cheers to that. Hello from the USA, Jersey Love Steph. Hello, welcome. I'm over here in California right now, and all of a sudden it's getting super hot in here. I wasn't expecting that. I think I have to, so a little rustling here while I just gotta get rid of a layer because I'm about to combust, and that would be unfortunate. Let me know if the sound is not, it's probably gonna be slightly different when I do it this way because I don't have anything to clip this to. So I just clip it to the cable like that, and hopefully that won't be too bad. It's in roughly the same position. Whew. It probably doesn't help that I have a wool shirt on underneath, but you know, there you go. Okay. Jeff does it for the love and it shows. Yes. Yeah, well, I kind of always wished that I had access to someone who could have helped me when I was like super, super small. I'm just trying to be that person who can help, you know? I mean, now, especially now, more than ever, we have all this great stuff. We can communicate so seamlessly and so easily, and it's really cool. So why not? But yes, I do love it. I love, you know, I enjoy helping people. I like what that feels like, and I like hearing people get the most from their voices, and I hope to demystify what was so frequently held kind of, you know, behind this curtain of mystery, unnecessarily, if you ask me. Movie World, we are playing at MIT Festival at the second biggest stage. We have a 45-minute set, and it's December 2nd. Our band is called Flare. Brilliant. Thank you for posting that. So those of you who are at the MIT Festival on December 2nd, make sure you catch Flare. I guess, you know, like it'll probably be on the programs and things like that, but just a little plug. Yeah, of course. Let us know what time. So yeah. Curious Lamp. I couldn't help but think that you were referring to my lava lamp. Jeff, I'm practicing for an audition, and one piece we have to prepare has a very slow, quiet movement. Can't get through the phrases without sacrificing other engagement or healthy tone. How do I approach practicing for proper phrasing within the breath? Yeah, cool question. Start with the lip trill for starters, just to work on phrase lengths. Just doing the lip trill. Moving on from that, do solid vowels. Again, just looking for where you are phrasing, where you need air, where it feels like you're not quite making it, or where it's very comfortable. Plan your breaths very carefully, obviously. Switch it over to the vowel sounds from the phrases, and at that point, you should be really close to being just fine with, you know, doing the lyrics. But if you notice a huge change from the vowels from the lyrics to the full lyrics, then evaluate how you are using consonants. If the consonants are breaking up the flow of air too much, then it will cause the airflow to stop and restart. And every time that happens, you lose a little bit of air, especially if you're not taking an inhale at that point. So double check how that's going, and that, if it doesn't remedy any issues, then it will show you where they are. And by working through that practice, particularly those last two steps of the vowels from the lyrics to the consonants and noticing any major discrepancies, that will help you understand a lot about how you're using your voice and what may need to be adjusted at that point. It's the top of the hour, so I want to just briefly say thank you again for being here. This is your live event. For those of you that want to support the channel, Patreon is a really great way to do it. There are also other avenues on the website, on jeffrolka.com, one of which is the RVC, Rolka's Vocal Community. And once a member, you can post audio, post video. I respond to it. I can help you. I can give you feedback. It's kind of like having an asynchronous live event where you can post examples of your work so that I can listen and say, well, you should, maybe try this or try that. There's other courses and things like that on the website. Those you may be interested in as well. jeffrolka.com. It's probably going to do that, and it didn't. Okay, cool. Neighbors used to chip in a big pot to pay me not to practice. What? Since I've been training with Jeff's videos, now they say I sound like an angelic bird. Brilliant. Excellent, excellent. As it should be. Pay you not to practice. I don't know, I question that. But wonderful. Keep it up. Keep up a good practice. I think that's like, I'm not sure what that emoticon is, but it kind of looks cool. Jersey love. Steph, thank you. I'm glad we all agree that Jeff is awesome for doing this with us. Jeff has high-profile clients, and we all love and appreciate your skills and so on. Well, I mean, to a certain extent, yes, that's true. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I have a good time. I love answering questions. It's fun. These live events really keep me sharp. Jeff is awesome. Thank you. I, tend to agree. Not, overwhelmingly, not like irritatingly so in agreement, but, no, you don't want to like look a gift horse in the mouth like that. You definitely want to take those kindnesses with grace. Cole, drinking again. I really have to stay on top of the hydration because I'd get to the end, because it's like, I'm talking a lot and I'm trying to engage as if I'm singing, but I don't. I fail sometimes too. And my voice would get super fatigued by the ends of these, so I'm really trying to stay engaged. And that right there, the 4-hour gig person, if you're still out there, try not to talk that day. If you can avoid speaking as much as possible, that would be ideal. For being bored with singing, maybe you could try to sing along with an instrument from one of your favorite songs, sing guitar solo, etc. Yeah, that's a great idea. How can baritones begin to mix? I mean, if you're doing any full range warm-up on my channel, that involves singing into the zona di passaggio and ultimately over the secondo passaggio. If you're not sure how that's done, then there's a 3-part series. It's the information in it is perfectly relevant. It's just an older set of 3 videos I did a while ago, and so the production quality is desperately in need of an upgrade. But if you search my channel for how to sing high notes part 1, you'll find them. That would be a good place to start learning the technique about zona di passaggio, mix range, using cricothyroid dominant singing voice. Jersey love. I can definitely see the results from where I first started 4 months ago. I love how he emphasizes it's a journey, which is awesome. It's giving me something more to look forward to. I was just talking about that this morning when a client of mine was talking about upper register response as a process. And I agree wholeheartedly. It's not as if we're ever done as musicians. We're just going to keep going. I usually quote Pablo Casals here, where he was 90 years old. He was a cellist, by the way. He was 90 years old. He's being interviewed, and the interviewer says to Pablo Casals, "You're 90. Why do you still practice?" And he said, "Because I think I'm seeing improvement." And this is like a world-renowned cellist. And that's just it. The more you learn about music, the more you learn about your voice, the more that you will hear what you need to improve on. And the more that you improve on those things, the more that you will hear what's still, and it just keeps going and going. I feel that I still have as far to go as I ever did as a musician in general. So that will either be very inspiring and kind of charge you up about this idea of a process that really just continues, or it can be a bit hard feeling sometimes. Kind of feels hard sometimes to me, I must admit, when things aren't really going the way that I want them to. But for the most part, I usually feel really excited about how charged up everything is. Right now my range, what am I doing here? Oh yeah, right now my range is about A2 to E flat 5, chest and mixed voice, B flat 5 in falsetto. And I can sing phrases without any problems up to G sharp 4. My question is, if you have any cheat codes or tricks. I'm not exactly sure for what. To sing higher with the same amount of tone and power. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly. Like, what would you need cheat codes for if you can do that, right? So what code are we looking for exactly? You know, maybe tell me a bit more. Yeah. The nerd far away. I'm never cast in lead roles in local theater because I'm not belty enough, among other things. I've worked for many years and gotten stronger, but still not belty enough. Is there help for me? Well, if you're still trying out for the parts and you're still walking and talking, of course there is. Of course, without question. Yeah. If it's the same director each time that's, casting you in different roles, or if it's different directors, like, listen, and I'm sure you're probably doing this already, but listen really carefully to who does get cast in those roles. And see, maybe even if you can get a recording, or, ask permission, but maybe do a recording of a rehearsal or something like that. And then go away with that and listen to the qualities of their voice. Like, how are they using their voice? How is it beltier than you? That will tell you a bit about the kind of tonal palette that the director is looking to achieve. And that can guide you as to how you might want to practice. Now, you may get into that process and find that it doesn't feel good on your voice. And then you have to make a really hard decision, which is, do you continue to practice wanting the role, knowing that you still might not get it, and knowing that it's feeling quite taxing on your voice, or something else, basically, being a different part or character in the play or something to that effect, the theater piece, pardon me. But that's where I would begin. Failing that, you might, talk to these directors and see what sorts of theater they listen to. Who are they listening to? Who are their favorite vocalists? And then you can go and listen to those vocalists and do the same thing. You will not be able to copy. I'm not suggesting copying them. I am suggesting listening to the qualities of these vocalists' voices. So when you listen to them, I should just have a sip of water before I sing anything at this point. If you're listening to them and they're then that's one thing. That's another. That is yet a third. All of them are legitimate ways of singing that scale. Some will be better for some genres, some will be better for others. When you listen to the vocalists that the director finds, pleasing, that they want to emulate in their productions, that will tell you a bit about what you're looking for in your own vocal delivery. And then you can work on that on your own or with your coach. Tricky tongue twister to test out T's. There you go. Thanks, Jeff. You should visit Castle Rock in Saratoga sometime. Thank you, Cole. I think there's like lots of places called Castle. There was like a Castle Rock, I think, in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan or something like that. I used to love going to that thing. It had this really rickety kind of metal bridge that went across this chasm from the cliffside to the pillar. It was amazing. I used to love going there. I will have to check it out. Movie World, our band is mainly a rock, pop, punk band, so I need those types of notes. Sorry for the spam. You're not spamming, Movie World. I just don't know exactly. I presume that you mean notes by the tessitura that you're singing in, but I still don't know what you're looking for in terms of cheat codes or tricks. Deborah Thompson, you're great, Jeff. Well, thank you, Deborah. I truly appreciate it. Gretchen, hello from Central New York. Hello, Gretchen. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you're doing well over in New York, right all the way across the U.S. California weather is winter in the morning, summer in the afternoon. Seriously, Linda, you are not joking. It was so cold this morning. Because I have like clients in time zones where I teach like really early in the morning, and I've got like a fleece and a down vest, and I'm wearing a hat, and I kind of wanted like fingerless gloves. I didn't go there this morning, but it was close. Now I'm totally roasting, but yeah, this is true. Mark Freeman, yes, exactly. It was so cool. Jimmy Earl says, "Damn, Jeff, you're jacked." I try to take good care of myself. You know, our bodies, they are our instruments. So try to be healthy. We have to try to take care of the old system here. And, I do what I can to stay healthy and fit. Avid climber, rock climber. I am usually an avid runner, but right now I'm having left ankle and knee issues. So kind of sidelined a little bit on the running department. But yeah, I try to place a really, really high priority on physical fitness and staying healthy. But thank you, I appreciate that. Hello, oh, Jersey Love Steph says, hello, Gretchen, with a heart. We're East Coast girls, right on. Movie World, what types of music do you listen to? I listen to all kinds of things. I mean, I end up listening to a lot of the material that, I'm going to keep talking, but I have to open a window. I end up listening to a lot of material that my clients are working on. So this morning, oops, that was not entirely great. This morning I was listening to everything from unreleased music that was in from a client in Bangladesh, which was it's going to be released in the Indian market, and I'm afraid I don't know the dialect that we were singing in. I listened to that. That was the first thing I got started with, and then it was on to Radiohead in another lesson, and then it was on to The Fray in yet another lesson, along with some original material that I got to work on today too. So I'm like all over the map when it comes to listening to things. In my spare time, I find myself listening to a lot of singer-songwriters. I recently discovered Lizzie McAlpine, and I'm really, really enjoying her work. I have also recently been listening to, I kind of always kind of fall back lately on Debussy, and I'll fall back on the Beatles. So, bouncing all over the place. Yes, girl, Jersey Love Steph, East Coast represent, exactly, lovely. Thanks so much for being a help to us, Jeff. The Nerd Far Away, you're welcome. It's a pleasure. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve the singing community here. Poetry, Jamie Wordsworth says, hi, everyone. Thank you for putting up with me opening that window, by the way. So much better. Mars Love your baritone practice videos. Thank you for watching. Thanks for singing along. Keep up a good practice. Mark Freeman, Pablo Casals was still practicing 3 hours a day at age 90. The quote I heard was, I am beginning to see some improvement. Yeah, okay. So I've morphed it over the years, haven't I? I am beginning to see some improvement. Yeah, right on. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. Poetry, Jamie Wordsworth. Thank you, Jeff. I started to practice a couple of years ago. Doing your exercises, you are clear with vowels. Other videos, I get confused to what it is. My level is close to Howie from Backstreet. Cool. If I understand correctly, well done. Jordan, yes, love the bass and baritone videos, and I request we do more scales like Hungarian minor, Neapolitan minor major. Yes. We have an F major D minor video coming out. Not this week. I don't think is it this weekend or next weekend? I'm not sure which it is. But yeah, I'm long overdue on some more exotic scales. Yeah. It's probably going to bounce on me. Yeah, a little bit, not too bad. Mark Freeman is always very good about this, and I skipped over it. Mentioning my breathing for singing course, it improved every aspect of my singing, and the progress continues. Did you organize your YouTube videos and playlists? I'm able to find many more of your videos now than a few weeks ago. No. So one, the breathing for singing course that Mark is referring to is on jeffrolka.com. When I learned Apagio breath management, I thought I had been, well, I didn't know what I was doing, but when someone asked me if I did Apagio, I was like, yeah, probably, because I'd been studying forever. And when I read what Apagio was, as described by Richard Miller in Training Tenor Voices, I couldn't understand it. Like, I had to read the passage over and over and over again because it conflicted so much with everything that I had been taught thus far. That started what was then a 2-year process of transition. And the point of breathing for singing is to make that shorter so that you can go from maybe somewhat of an understanding of Apagio to a full Apagio practice. And the thing about it is that when I made that change, every aspect of my singing got better for it. And a lot of the questions I had about my singing, like, how come I'm a tenor and they're a tenor, but I can't do the same things that they do, was answered in adjusting to Apagio. So that's what I made that course to do, to establish or to fully just, introduce you to the concept and get you into Apagio practice right straight away. Clip this on because I'm going to knock it off if I don't put it on my belt there. Actually, I don't have a belt, but on my trousers. No, I don't. I'm afraid I don't know why. YouTube moves in mysterious ways. It could be that because right now we're coming into the autumn and the winter, and so I assume most YouTubers are like me. They're starting to see an uptick in basically all kinds of activity on the channel. And YouTube may then take it upon itself to kind of organize things a little bit more to make discovery easier. It's not always like that. And a lot of the videos that I have that go way, way back, which the content of which is just as valid as ever, are really difficult to find even on my channel just because there's so many videos. And YouTube has its own way of prioritizing things for any given listener. Gary, I'm a first tenor. My vocal cords became paralyzed while intubated for over a week. Goodness, it took 5 months after my bilateral lung transplant to eat solid food again and 9 months to be able to speak. Goodness. Gary, well, I hope that you have made a full and complete recovery. I'm not sure. I'm going to kind of scroll down here and see if there's something more to that. Well, I don't see anything more there, so I will leave you with that. I hope that everything is coming along nicely. If my channel has helped in some way, I am really glad that it was there, and I hope that it has served you well and continues to serve you well too. Let's see here. The technique with keeping my breath equal has helped not exhaust myself during a long phrase. Also, sipping air. Absolutely. Little catch breaths. In lyrical music, nearly every time you have a consonant, there is an opportunity to take a breath. You don't always want to take them, but those are the places to start looking for opportunities. And when you maintain your lateral expansion, taking a short sip of air happens so quickly that it borders on not disrupting the phrase at all. And that too is one of the benefits of Apagio, that the maintenance of the lateral expansion so that the system stays engaged throughout both the inhalation and exhalation process means that breathing happens ridiculously rapidly. Jersey Love, it was a light go off when you had the last live session. Yeah, I think everything is going to be okay today. We're all like charged up. I actually made a point of charging all the batteries before I got started today. Appetite for Rose, you're awesome, Jeff. Really enjoyable to tune into your content on here. Brilliant. Well, thank you. Thanks for joining us today. I appreciate that, and thank you for watching on the channel. I hope the videos serve you well. Linda is off to do my practice with you. We'll be checking out the breathing courses too. Thanks, Jeff. You're very welcome, Linda. I hope I've caught you before you've taken off. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful practice. What makes one person naturally louder or softer singer than the next? I admire those whose voices carry. Voices carry. Hopefully I won't get the video taken down for that. Even with vocal training, I'm just not a naturally loud singer. Am I stuck with it? Don't know. I'm afraid, Gretchen. I'd have to listen to you and maybe do a bit of work together. You can't entirely rule out the construction of the instrument. You know, the space in the oral cavity, the flexibility of the soft tissue, the predisposition towards soft tissue flexibility. In other words, are you a person that normally engages those tissues and consequently cuts down on the resonance of them? That resonance is a lot of what our projection is. If you have a really grave concern about being nasal in your singing, then you can easily mistake nasality for singer's formant. That will detrimentally impact your projection, your volume. Volume isn't just raw loudness, that is certainly a component of it, but if you want a truly strong voice, then there is a volume component, but there is a projection and a resonance component that is, in my opinion, even more important than the raw volume, because mostly, a lot of times, we're singing with microphones. And if you're using a microphone, it's all relative. Now, if you're talking about the classical realm, well, keep in mind that when an orchestra accompanies a vocalist, they're not playing full throttle. The arrangements and the dynamics are relative to the instrument in question. So if it was a trumpet concerto that they were accompanying, then they would have a dynamic range that might be from here to here. If they are accompanying a harp piece, their dynamic range is going to be here, similar for maybe an oboe, right? The vocalist, they're probably somewhere in that range too. This is also where you'll see like chamber ensembles and things like that instead of full 80-some piece orchestras, unless of course you're singing Wagner, in which case it's a totally different story. But yeah, long-winded answer. I hope that helps. Some things to evaluate in there. Maybe pop back into the next live session if you've had a chance to check out some of these things. There's also an article, I think it was in 2006, and it's called, I think, The Nonlinear Voice. It was in Scientific American. I need to find, I just need to have a link handy for that because it's a very good read, and it might also help you look at volume creation because it's not just raw input. It's a nonlinear occurrence. It requires the resonance of other tissues and things like that. Cole, how do singers drink enough water where they stay hydrated but don't drink so much that they have to run off stage during a set. Yeah, I'm about to run off stage right now. Yeah, it's tough, honestly. It's tough. It's probably one of the, for me, one of the more challenging things, because I drink a lot of water to try to stay hydrated. You might consider, you can try other hydrating methods and hydrating drinks, but at the end of the day, when it comes to singing, room temperature water, so it doesn't kind of shock the vocal folds. In other words, too hot or too cold will get a muscle response of tension, is where it's at. So, yeah. So, Jersey Love Steph is suggesting that we give ourselves IVs. I gotta say, it sounds all right some days, because it can get like, I guess we can go there since it's come up in the chat. I wouldn't normally take a conversation in this direction, but if you drink a lot of water, you're going to run to the loo quite frequently, probably. I have known some people who seem to have, bladders that are like a TARDIS. In other words, when you go in there, it's just like endless space. For those of you who are Doctor Who fans, I don't know, someone's got to be a Doctor Who fan out there. So, yeah, like I've heard of some people like that. For me, it's strategic. In other words, making sure that, just take care of it as much as you can. But the thing is that sometimes you just have to say, I'll be right back. And then you go, and that's it. We can all be, it's different if it's a different matter when you're on stage. Luckily, if you're in a theater production, usually there's time. Like you're not on stage unless it's a one-person show, and you're just there the whole time. That would be really hard. Yeah. Anything anyone has to offer in terms of techniques or strategies, don't do what Steve Lillywhite did, where if you look for Steve Lillywhite Depends undergarments, there's a video I think you can find. There's a long story behind it. You can read about it. Mark Freeman, I like the Dorian Mode video. Can you do a mixed leading one? Yep. So there is actually a mixed leading one already on the channel, but I'm going to do a new one because why not, really? You can't really do enough of them. Movie World, tricks or cheat codes on how to sing in the upper part of your mixed voice for a longer period of time in a healthy way. For example, a chorus where the range is around E4 to A4. Yeah, so thank you for clarifying. Pardon me. I muted that too. There's no trick. There's no cheat. Apagio breath management is where it's at. So when you do apagio, you're maintaining your ribs in this lateral expansion. This keeps the diaphragm in a descended position, posture, which means that the core body muscles can work with it more efficiently and effectively. And what this does is it creates more dynamic air pressure, subglottic air pressure, so that you can more easily stay in that register. But the key here is on the turnarounds of phrase. So if you have a phrase that ends and you have to immediately come back into it, usually where we fall out is when we take the breath and then we don't re-engage the musculature adequately coming back into the phrase. And that can be where we have more tension, or where if we're not as practiced, we can even kind of fall out of that range of our voices. What apagio does so beautifully is that when you are in that suspension, you are maintaining your engagement, both inhaling and exhaling. For the most part, there's a slight cessation of engagement on the inhalation, but for the most part, you're maintaining it. And so when you come back in, you're right where you left off, and that makes it far easier to stay in that range. You're also using less energy overall when you get used to it, so that it just makes the whole thing work better. that's one of those things that was answered when I made the switch to Apogeo. And if you're not sure if you're practicing Apogeo or not, I did a video some time ago on Apogeo breath management. You can easily find it. Well, you can find it on the channel. I don't know how easily. If you search my channel for Apogeo, Appoggio, you can find it. And that is a discussion on it. Also, I go through the body motions of it on questions from comments or community question 6. It's one of those two, number 6. About a minute and a half or 2 minutes into it, I go through all of the kind of physical motions of it. You sound proper British by saying trousers. It's funny, Mars, you should mention that. And I just mentioned you know, the phone box that Dr. Who used. I'm always saying it's TARDIS, I believe. Yeah, the TARDIS. Yeah, well, my wife is British, lived there for several years, love going back, love being there, love a lot of things about it. Beautiful. Bit of issues with their prime minister these days, but they'll figure it out. TARDIS, yes, my other ride is a TARDIS, nerd far away. Fantastic. Thank you for the thorough article. We'll look for that. Brilliant. Chewing gum, am I right? Or superficial, if I feel chewing gum with mint helps keeping me from straining, help the vocals from getting fatigued. I mean, if it works for you, why not? You know? We're all different. We're all going to respond in different ways to different things. I do have to wrap this up, everybody. Would you say that Apogeo is applicable to modern day pop? Absolutely, without question, Jordan. Absolutely, without question. For me, it's essential. Maybe, you know, everyone's different, but for me, Apogeo was absolutely essential. Folks, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you so very much. Diaper up. Make like Fergie and let it go. That requires a Google search, I think. Electrolyte tablets. Thank you, everyone, for joining me today. Truly, truly appreciate it. Thank you for all your questions. Thank you for the super chat earlier on. For those of you that want to get MP3s and PDFs, Patreon is the place to do it. You know, my website has all kinds of other resources too. Have a lovely, lovely day, everyone. Take really good care of your voices. Enjoy singing. Thanks for the questions. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.